Hello and welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're going to be starting modifications on this bucket. My problem here is that the pin spacing center to center between the two pins is too wide. So I need to shrink that down by what I believe is 20 millimeters. We'll have to verify that. It's really tough because the other bucket and the quick coupler both have some wear in it, so it's kind of ambiguous. So what I'll probably end up doing is moving it to where I think it should be for the spacing, and then from there we will tack it up and then test fit the bucket. So that as long as it's good, then we will weld it up solid. This front pin here, what we're going to end up doing is, because the bushings and the holes themselves are blown out and wallered out, we're just going to weld the pin in place in the correct spot. It has some wear, but honestly I'm only going to use this bucket for trenching and root pulling, and if I need to grind off the welds on this pin and replace it in a couple years, that's not the end of the world. It's a lot cheaper to do that and a lot easier than to rebore these two bores to be true and parallel, because you need a line boring machine. You need to put bushings in, and then you have to buy a new pin because this pin is worn out too. So it just doesn't make sense to do it that way. What I've done right here is I've made a layout using the reference of the two sides of the bore here. It's not perfect, but as long as I'm consistent on my movements and consistent on my cuts on both sides, it won't matter. When I go to weld this up, I'll have my pin run through the bore, and yeah, we'll just make it work. It's just a bucket. The tolerances aren't incredibly tight, especially on a worn out quick coupler. So I'm going to see if my bandsaw will cut this. If not, we'll probably end up using the grinder with some cutoff wheels. So let's try it out. Not working the greatest. We're going to use the cutoff wheel. So I'm kind of running out of daylight here tonight. I'm just going to leave it how it is. That way, tomorrow after work, I think I'll have time to come out here and we'll weld up this pin, get it true to the rest of the bucket, because it's all welded out right now. As soon as we get it trued up to the bucket, then I can weld it solid, and then I have a good reference point where I know exactly where this pin's going to be. I know where I need to move this side too. So the cutoff wheels are working great. They're burning through this steel pretty much no problem. So hopefully we can get this in the right spot and get this welded up and get this bucket ready to go back to work. So see you tomorrow. Good afternoon, everyone. Tonight we're going to continue working on the backhoe bucket project. Let me show you where we're at right now. So we have the front pin all cleaned up, wire wheeled. We had smoothed out and cleaned up both faces here. And I think I have it setting in a spot where it's nice and parallel and running true to the bucket. So I'm going to put a tack or two on this side of the pin with the ear. Then we'll measure and just make sure everything looks good. And then I'll weld it up solid. I have quite a bit of a gap to fill in on that side. But I think it'll work. I'll have to be really careful not to get any buildup on this side of the pin, because the quick coupler that I have basically just fits between this, so I can't put a bead all the way around this. As soon as that's done, I can use that pin as a reference to make sure the other pin's the right distance away, and then we'll continue cutting these ears off, do both sides, move them in, and then weld it. We'll cut off both sides. Then I have to come over here and cut off the correct amount of metal off of both ears. That way we can slide this pin in, and then we'll have to verify that's the right distance, and we'll just weld this back solid. I'm just going to be using some 7018s. This is all I can run on my welder setup using the generator as a power source. The generator works great, but you can't put too many amps to it. I have to be really careful when I'm striking my arc to strike it fast and then not have any fluctuation in it after I get started. The generator can handle the amperage, but it just needs to have it consistent and constant. I think that's kind of because of the inverter generator versus a more basic generator, but I can't wait to have power out here. Then I can run my 1/8 inch electrodes, no problem. And I love those because they have much more, basically I'm going to call it burn time, where they have more material, so you can put more material down with the rods. So yeah, these 3/32 rods don't last very long. But I think I have just enough rods to make this project done. If not, we'll be going into town in a couple days. So let's get started. Oh, also the generator will be running the whole time, obviously. So you probably won't be able to hear much, but I'll probably time lapse a lot of this project. So I was just going along cutting here after I did my layout, and thank goodness some thought occurred to me to check this. Or I think it was because I was getting close to this pin, and I wasn't when I cut this side. That's because I marked the wrong side. I'm supposed to cut off here, not there. So just made more work for myself. Not good, but oh well, at least I didn't cut it all the way off. That would have been a disaster. So I'm gonna cut over here. Okay, all of the tack welding is done, and it is tacked where it should be, hopefully. The next step is to test fit the bucket on the quick coupler, make sure everything works. I put some really nice tack welds on here, so it should keep it nice and straight. I'm going to get some help, and we'll throw this bucket on the ground and drag it over to the quick coupler.
Time for the test fit?
Yeah. Never once cut twice, right? take this tool, we stick it in this hole here, and if you lift up and you press the spring, and it actions just like that.
Wow. So that works great.
Yeah. So this is the little tool. So when I say bucket change, you run and grab this out of the side compartment, stick it in here, and you just do the opposite. Lift it up. So actually,
Show me how to undo it.
so I have to tip the bucket down a little ways. But right now, the weight of the bucket can push it into the cup. It'll still catch. This is really tight up here.
Okay.
So it'll still catch that. But then you just come back here, put the pin in, and just push down. And if you tip it far enough.
I don't think I'm going to be able to do that.
Probably not. Feel like that. So that worked great. I think we're ready to weld up the whole bucket solid, and then we'll be able to put it to work. Let's tip it down.
How much does this thing weigh anyway?
It should be about 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's about right.
Come on, you squat that much. Here, do you want to rotate it all the way?
Out of the way.
Yeah, you squat that much all the time, don't you?
No. I wish. Well, I mean, I could probably squat maybe 250, but you got it?
Yep.
Are we still going?
Walk it in with, yep.
There you go.
That way I can
You got it on that side?
Yep.
This side's good.
walk it in just a little more. I'm going to rotate it. This has to hang off the edge.
Thanks, son. Yeah. Use your legs, not your back.
The 1 foot bucket is done. Last night I welded into the late evening, so it was kind of dark. I don't know how much I'll show of the time lapse, but I got the ears welded back on and profiled the back of the bucket here where we cut it and slid it forward. Cool thing is, the pin moves freely. I wasn't sure if that was going to happen or not. I didn't take any special precautions to make sure it would stay true when we're done. But yeah, when it cooled down the right way and was consistent. So I'm going to call this bucket done.
So one complaint I have about this bucket is that the front pin has really tight spacing between the ears, where my quick coupler just barely fits down between it. And if the bucket's sitting on the slight slope like this, it's very hard to get it hooked up. But once you get it in, it clicks into the rear pin really easily.
Okay, we have the 1 foot bucket hooked up to the backhoe, and I want to test it out by digging into our hillside here and loosening this up so we can use it for fill on the other side of this bus here. So let's dig some dirt out.
So the bucket modifications turned out great. I think that this will be a great tool to add to our toolbox as far as what we can do with the backhoe. The geometry of this bucket is a little bit interesting. It is a Caterpillar bucket, but it was made for a different model quick coupler and all that. So it actually can curl all the way back and touch the boom, which can kind of work like a thumb, but it's not quite the same. But yeah, it's a great bucket and it rips through this rock with ease. If you made it to this point in the video, I want to thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot that you choose to spend your time with us. If you like this content and want to see more of it, the best way to ensure that you see it is to just hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. If you want to support Emily and I, the best way to do that is just hit that like button. It really helps out. It tells YouTube this content is worth sharing to other people. If you want to support us in a more direct way, the best way to do that is through YouTube channel memberships. If you have any questions about this project or other projects you see in the background, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer them. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.